up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Out of Our League. We're back again after another hiatus. But here we are with another very special episode. As you can see, it's Mike Bithell back again.
Hello.
The guy who just single-handedly developed a Tron game. Just
on my own. That's 100% true. Yeah. I don't know who these other people are. They keep asking me questions. But no, I made it all on my own, single-handedly. No one else was involved. These are the facts. I'm just here to be honest.
Yep. So I guess to kind of kick off the show, before anything else, I just want to ask you about Tron Identity. So you guys announced that at D23. What, a year and a half ago, roughly?
It would have only been last year. I think it was last year. Yeah.
Okay, so I really want to know kind of what that process was like, from like the inception of Tron Identity up to the official announcement. What was that kind of journey like? Did you pitch the game, or were you approached about the game, and then so on and so forth? Obviously, what you can talk about. I'm sure there's still NDAs and stuff, so whatever you're comfortable going into. Of course.
No, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward story. They basically, Disney, to my understanding, Disney were basically looking to do something with Tron. They knew Tron was cool. They knew that Tron obviously kind of made sense to maybe explore in video games. And they just, and this often happens, they basically just kind of put it out there into the world. They just kind of said to the universe, hey, universe, we'd like to do some Tron stuff. And that made its way to me via a few people. And basically, the pitch from me was, I love Tron, I love the story and that kind of world building that exists. But I don't want to pitch a game for Tron. I want to pitch like a new grid, a new world for that story. And we'll make games, but like we're thinking of this more like holistically. It's not just a game. It's maybe we can do multiple things there. Maybe we can do lots of stuff there. And that was my pitch back to Disney, was like, just let me play. Let me and my team kind of come up with some cool stuff. And the first of those games is Tron Identity, is kind of that intro into that world, kind of welcoming you in, giving you a sense of what's going on, and hopefully kind of getting the ball rolling. That was kind of my pitch. And they kind of digged it. So that was cool. And now obviously Identity's out and has kind of worked. So everyone's very happy, which is nice. But yeah.
So you mentioned this kind of being the introductory kind of into this universe. Are you guys planning on doing more in the Tron universe in the future?
Yes. Yeah, we're doing more.
Cool. More stuff. Give me every single specific detail about those games.
Let me just
story spoilers and everything.
I've got the build here. Let me just start that playing for you. Yeah. So we've always been really upfront about that. We basically, even at D23, we were saying like, I updated my Twitter profile. It was Tron things, not Tron Identity. It's like, we're doing multiple things. But for whatever reason, no one had kind of picked up on that story until the night before we launched Identity. There was like an interview with someone from Disney, Heidi, who's an amazing producer on the game. She basically just mentioned that she was like, oh, and we're working with Mike and his team on other stuff. And that just blew up as a news story the night before the game came out, which was cool because, it emphasizes to the audience that like, we've got the trust of Disney behind us. They want us to do more stuff with this world. Like it was a good, positive story, but we'd never really kept it secret. It wasn't like something that we were not telling anyone. It was just, it had not, for whatever reason, hadn't turned into a story yet. But yeah, so that's quite cool. And it's a weird position for us to be in now because obviously the world knows we're making more Tron stuff. And that's kind of it's an interesting kind of framing. It's an interesting kind of position to be in.
Awesome. So I'm sure you probably can't go into much detail on the future games regarding like, ideas for types of games and stuff like that. But since Tron Identity is out, I was curious if that specific type of game was your original idea, it being kind of like a adventure visual novel style of game, or did you guys have other ideas or concepts of what the game could be before landing on that one?
I mean, we talked about lots of things, but I think pretty early on, it was specifically for Tron Identity, it felt like it made sense to start quite small, quite kind of, we're going to tell, a contained story here. We're going to kind of introduce, it's the oldest sci-fi trick in the book, that it's a detective story, because that puts you in the role of a character who's like just asking everyone questions. Hey, could you explain the interesting world building? What's your whole deal? Is like a question you can actually ask as a detective in a story. Works for so many sci-fi stories to kind of as a way into that world and that story. And we obviously had the experience of doing the circular games and a few other things, and that made sense to kind of go down that road with that. But then, I don't think we're not necessarily tethered. I think we can try different things. But yeah, the for Identity, that felt like it made sense. I think it did work really well in kind of conveying that story. You read the reviews of the game, and that's the stuff people really clicked with. So yeah, it's good. It seems to have worked there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. From what I've heard, because sadly I haven't played it yet because you guys made it on.
I'm leaving the conversation right now. That's so rude.
PC
that's so
game.
Unprofessional. That's so. I mean, it's on Switch as well. Whatever. Don't worry.
I don't
about
have
it.
a Switch. That's what
you don't have a Switch.
I don't have a Switch.
You have a video game podcast and you don't have a Switch. That doesn't.
I
make
leave
any
that up
sense
to
me.
like Kumail and Phil, but they didn't want to be here today. So.
No, they specifically wanted to avoid me because they haven't got. They haven't
played it either. That's why they didn't want to come on the show.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I got it now. I've worked it out. It's great.
I definitely do really want to play it. It's just it being on.
You should.
It's like, yeah, it's literally it's on PC, so it's like,
yeah.
Do I buy it now and maybe finish it because I don't play games on my computer often at all, or do I wait for the hopeful PS5 or Xbox port that I'm hoping you guys do eventually? I don't know if you can comment on that at all, but I'm hoping that happens.
That seems like a cool idea. I don't have anything to say on the topic.
Great, good cover right there. But speaking of kind of, I want to piggyback off of Tron. We'll probably get back to it later, but kind of speaking on that, Solitaire Conspiracy. Same thing. I didn't play it when I was on PC. I played it when it came to PlayStation, which I should probably clarify was provided by your studio. It was a code, so thank you. Take it with a grain of salt, but it was freaking awesome. Great game.
Okay.
And one thing I noticed about Solitaire Conspiracy, I mean, aside from the fact that you hired that nobody, Greg Miller, to do some voices. Don't know why.
I think he is my favorite. Canonically, he's my favorite actor, and I stand by that.
That's true. No, he was great in it. But
I think he did a really good job. Yeah, I really liked his performance.
The trophy list was very nice. It was a great trophy list, and it's my first platinum trophy of a Mike Bithell game.
Oh, there you go.
Might be my only platinum trophy because, like I said previously, the other games, very difficult. Did my harsh comments have anything to do with a better trophy list?
Do you know what? I think I do remember you made some jokes about that, and I don't think it's not like I walked into the office and was like, "People, we've got to fix this." We had some notes. I cannot be in a room with this man again.
Yeah,
but no, genuinely, like I did take it on board. Like I do when I hear criticism of our stuff, I 100% do think about that and where possible try and come up with cool stuff. So yeah, no, basically.
So what you're telling me is I'm solely responsible for the better
director of Solitaire Conspiracy. I think that's the credit we'll give you in the the inevitable special remastered edition.
I'm gonna put that on my resume. I co-directed Solitaire Conspiracy.
Yeah, chuck it on the IMDb. Yeah, 100%. Go for it.
Awesome. But no, it was genuinely fun. It was tough, but
thank you.
But that was a really cool game, and that's something I'm very excited to play Tron Identity at some point in the future. It's kind of piggybacking off of what you guys did with Solitaire Conspiracy, because obviously you can go back and look at your previous games, and while they do have good narratives, those are usually, aside from maybe Thomas Was Alone, they kind of fall on the back burner. They're usually kind of focused on gameplay, like John Wick is about the gameplay with a good story, volume, gameplay, stuff like that. Obviously, Thomas Was Alone has a great narrative. You have the subservice projects. You have your audio drama with North Star Rising. So like that stuff's there. But getting to
I always
Solitaire,
forget North Star Rising exists. I always like that. I love that. I really enjoyed that.
It's great. Also, shout out to Rahul Kohli. He's fantastic in it.
Oh, he's brilliant. But I loved him before he was cool, and he was cool very early on.
Yeah, I only loved him when he was cool at that point, because I was like, well, now he's cool. Now I like him. So.
Oh, fair play. Late to the game, late to the the role, the hipster game on that. No, fair play.
But
yeah.
But with Solitaire, the crazy thing was, like, I don't care about Solitaire. Like, as a game, concept. It's never really clicked with me. I played it a bit here and there on, like, I don't know, Windows 2000 or Windows XP or whatever, but I was never hooked on it. I was like, oh, I'll try this game out because it's a Bithell game and it's got a story and it's got that hack Greg Miller in it. It's going to be great. And also the fantastic Alana Pierce and everybody else that's truly great, just not Greg.
Sure.
And then I played it and I was like, this game is good. Like, the Solitaire component is legitimately fun, to the point where I just kept playing round after round after round.
Oh, cool.
And it was just amazing getting that, plus the story that I was not expecting to be as kind of deep and intricate as it was. The kind of like spy espionage thing. So I'm really excited to see how that's kind of evolved into the storytelling in Tron, and also the puzzles too, because from what I've seen, the puzzles look really, really cool in Tron. So I'm excited about that. No questions. I just kind of wanted to gush about Solitaire.
I'm having a lovely time with this interview.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Continue, please.
That was the best interview ever. Yeah, what happened? Oh, they just stroked my ego about all of my projects. It was fantastic.
Yeah, this is lovely. This is how I want every Friday to end for me. This is great. Good energy to go into my weekend. I love it. Yeah,
make it a routine every Friday. Jump on. I was just like, dude, your games are great.
I love it.
So, I kind of want to talk a little bit about, I guess, kind of going back to Tron. Were there specific things learned from Solitaire Conspiracy that helped with the creation of the story or the gameplay of Tron? Or was it kind of like fresh concepts or all around?
I think to an extent, I mean, it's always the way that, like, you definitely carry knowledge from one game to another. And I think that's one of the benefits we've had jumping around genres so much, is like, we'll learn a lesson on volume we can then apply to a VR game, and then we'll learn less on that can go into John Wick, or, you know, like, we're always bouncing around. I think that means we kind of learn lessons in weird places and then apply them, which I think makes our games feel, I guess, more original, or they're just kind of they're pulling from a different kind of history, not just making the same game over and over again. So yeah, I think the what's interesting with Identity is I've seen people refer to it in this way, and I think there's some truth to it, is that Identity is weirdly kind of a hybrid of a few of our things. You know, you've got the licensed game, which we did before with John Wick. You've got the mini game there that is obviously kind of pulling on that Solitaire Conspiracy awareness. And then the storytelling, the writing is very much kind of building on what we did with circular games and just trying to learn every lesson and every criticism we ever got of the circular games and kind of applying that and trying to tell a different, better kind of story. So it's kind of, weirdly, it feels a bit like a homecoming project. It feels like it incorporates every lesson we learned up to that point. And if you're doing it right, I think every game should feel that way from us. I want when we're working on stuff, the next thing we're working on, like, I love that it is pulling in all these ideas from throughout the company's history, and there's just nice ways of doing that. I think that shows that's for me, that's the pleasure of it, is like learning lessons and always trying to improve and make new interesting stuff.
Cool.
So both basically is the answer to the actual question you asked. Yeah. So, it's I think Solitaire Conspiracy and Subsurface Circular mushed together. And then a bunch of Tron jokes. So yeah.
Awesome. Let's see here. Let's see if my rusty interviewing skills can take us in a different direction.
This is going to be a hell of a segue, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, trust me, it's not. There's nothing exciting about this.
I'm here with you. So Let's jump.
Okay.
We'll workshop the segue. Once you've asked the question, work out what the segue is going to get you there.
I like that a lot. Let's see. Oh, this is a perfect question from our good friend Hoodie. He asked this to. He asks this to almost every single guest whenever we post about it on our Twitter. A very simple, how are you?
Oh, that's a nice question. I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. I'm a bit tired at the moment. It's the end of the week, so I've got a nice long weekend ahead, which I'm excited for. But yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm just a bit knackered. I'm looking forward. After this, I'm gonna order a Nando's, which is a British. It's a chicken chain, but weirdly on the down low has really good vegetarian food as well. So like, I'll grab some of that. Then I'm gonna play some Jedi Fallen Order because I never finished that, and I'm not letting myself play the new one until I've played the old one. And that'll be my evening probably. We'll just chill with that. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to a nice relaxed evening. And then and then next week we're actually the whole team's meeting in person, which I'm really excited for. We're gonna hang out and plan stuff out, which will be good.
When's the last time you guys were able to do that?
We never have before. We've never had the entire team in the same room.
Right, you did the new hiring rounds for the past couple of games too, so you've got some new people as well, huh? All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of people actually I work with that I've never met in real life. And that's weird. And it's exciting. Mainly it's about being surprised by how tall or short people are in my experience. That's because you get very used to people in this context.
Yeah.
So I'm
7'3", by the way.
You come across like you're 7'3". You've got those 7'3" vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's that I'm really looking forward to. That's gonna be really cool. Just kind of meeting those people all in the same place and seeing how everyone bounces off each other. It's one of the things we've always been a remote team. So it's like a decade now we've been remote. It's kind of cool to actually get in a room and chat.
Nice. That is pretty awesome. I guess this wouldn't be an unofficial Play, Watch, Listen podcast if we didn't mention Star Wars. So, so how far have you gotten in Fallen Order so far?
So the first time I played it, I got as far as like there was this like frog fish boss I was fighting, and I got stuck on that. Do you remember this one? Is this a thing you remember from the game?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember much of that game.
Fair play.
I remember.
So I think, yeah,
I remember a couple characters, and I remember Kashyyyk being one of the worst maps I've ever explored. But that's all I can really remember from that game.
I can't remember where it was, but it was finding this fish frog kind of monster. I just got stuck on it. I just as you do with games, just like didn't play it for a few nights in a row. I was like, okay, I'm just the new thing came out. Yeah. I'm going back and I'm going to get to that frog and I'm going to kill it. So I'm very excited. And then that's my evening. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, and I do really like I like Star Wars. I like those kind of Dark Souls light kind of games as well. Like those games, not frankly just not skilled enough to play the actual From Software games, but I love all the kind of second tier of games that have kind of been inspired by them. I'm having a good time for sure.
Nice.
Also, I obviously now professionally love all Disney products.
Right. Yes, so, we love Disney, everything.
We love Disney products. Everything. It's all great.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on the sequel whenever you wind up playing through that and talk about it.
At this rate, I'll play it about 5 years from now when the third game is out. And it was actually weirdly, it was something you mentioned. Play, watch, listen. We realized we were recording. Was it yesterday? Can't remember whenever we were recording. And we realized our first episode was about Jedi Fallen Order. That was our first ever episode, was us chatting about Jedi Fallen Order. Seems like a million years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, even as a viewer, it's kind of wild how long that show's been going. Like, I didn't realize till I saw the first episode. I was like, oh, that's like 3.5 years old now. That's wild.
Well, we started off as like a monthly thing. That was the original pitch from Alana, was we'll meet once a month because everyone's really busy. So we'll try and do once a month and we'll get it done. And then, of course, lockdowns happened and it was like, well, let's do it every week. We got nothing better to do. And it was just genuinely lovely just to see those guys every week. But yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so glad you guys are still doing it because it's quickly became my favorite podcast and still is. It's phenomenal. I haven't watched.
Cool. That's cool.
I haven't watched the most recent episode yet. That's still on my to-do list, but I'm excited for that.
Yeah. That's a good time. So nice. Honestly, I just love hanging out with that group. Like I forget occasionally that we're recording and have to get Alana to like remove something from it that I say.
Yeah, every once in a while there'll be a little cut and it's like,
That's usually me. Yeah, it's usually me forgetting. Yeah, it's usually me. It's usually that I've forgotten I'm being recorded. But yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we just saw Tron 3 the other day. It was great. Oh shit, I can't say that, guys. Have you seen Tron 3? Kidding. Okay.
I've seen Tron 4. I haven't seen Tron 3.
Dang it. I'm still looking for somebody that's seen Tron 3. I want to know. That's kind of tying into a question I had, that this is one that you probably can't really go into detail on because it's kind of specific. But was there any conversation with Disney about incorporating things into your games to kind of bridge the gap from your games to whenever they do release Tron 3, like characters or story beats, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think we're kind of off in our own little zone. So obviously we're pulling on what's gone before with Tron. I would be amazingly kind of humbled and flattered if we did end up doing something like that. But that's not something I take for granted, for sure. We will see if ever that happens. If you ever see something like that happen, you'll know I'm very happy about it. But like nice. Not something we did in Identity. We're kind of building something of our own.
Cool. I can see the red laser dot on your forehead with their Disney sniper out. Like, don't say it, Mike. Don't say it.
I'll tell you now. I'll tell you a story on that subject, actually, because this is funny. So it became a joke on my team. I've not even told anyone at Disney this story. It became a joke on my team. I'm sat here talking to you, and out of the window behind the monitor, I can see a tree in my garden, right? And we only just moved in. We moved in just after lockdown. And there was this weird bin liner, like this black bag in the tree, basically like at the top branches. And there was no way I was ever going to get up there. There's no ladder I have that's tall enough to get into that tree. So basically, I would just be sat on calls talking to people, and I'd be like looking at this bin liner in this tree. And it slowly irritated me more and more. It's like, it's such a lovely tree, and it's just got a bin liner in it. And it's always watching me. And it became a joke that the bin liner's always watching me. The bin liner's always watching me. And then one day it was very, very stormy and windy. And the bin liner falls out of the tree onto my lawn, and I go out to clear it. And do you know what it is? It's a deflated Mickey Mouse balloon, and I've been being watched this whole time by Mickey Mouse while working, and it seemed beautiful to me, poetic that I'd been all this time. Mickey was keeping an eye on me. I respected that.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty pretty coincidental, or is it?
Or is it? Exactly. Or is it? You never know.
So, I guess backing off of Tron again, we're gonna keep getting onto Tron, then we're gonna keep backing off of Tron, getting
all
on
good,
just constantly.
Resing, deresing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a reference that I totally understand.
Zigzagging like a light cycle. Yeah. No,
sure.
Cool. Yeah.
I've never seen Tron.
You've never.
I'm joking.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
I love Tron.
It's the one with the glowy lines, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the one where they have like the laser swords and they do the little?
No, you've gone confused.
That's Star Trek, right? Sorry.
That's Star Trek. You're thinking of.
Yeah. Speaking of Star Trek, there's a segue for you.
Oh my goodness, that's impressive.
That just wasn't planned. I'm just that skilled.
Solid.
So, our good friend Alex wrote in, and he wants to talk wants you specifically to talk a little bit about Star Trek Picard. So, I'm assuming you've finished all of Picard? Cool.
Yeah.
So his question is, how much did you cry on that season 3 finale, and what nostalgic memory did it bring back to your mind?
Oh, I loved it. I did love it. It is absolutely nostalgia bait. Like the whole of that third series was 100% targeted at my generation of Star Trek fans, and it kind of annoys me a little bit that my generation of Star Trek fans are being a bit arseholey on the internet about that. Like a bit like, oh, this is proper Star Trek. It's like, hold on, there's some very good Star Trek happening in all that. But anyway, putting aside that, to actually answer the question, what specifically hit me with the nostalgia? I was really happy to hear Alice Krieger playing the Bull Queen again. I thought that was lovely. That was beautiful. Honestly, I think across the board, it's been the music for me. That specifically is the thing that absolutely just clicks in my brain. The score is beautiful, and there's a lot of really good original music, but there is also, they know exactly when to just hit me with something I remember from my childhood, like the First Contact theme, a bit of Voyager coming in every now and again. Like there's just some very clever kind of little tugging on my nostalgia. So I think music, that's the thing that I need to grab. There's these soundtracks out for it now. I need to grab that. Like, yeah, I think that's probably the thing that clicked for me most.
Awesome. Very cool. It's another thing I haven't watched yet. I wanted to get around to it because I'm like,
this is a great idea for a podcast, by the way. A podcast where you talk exclusively about things you've not yet seen.
Exactly. That's
that's genuinely, you might have hit the new big format. It's going to take the world by storm.
That's the thing that's been so much fun about doing this show, is a lot of the times we'll have people on whose projects I'm familiar with but haven't experienced. Yeah. So, like our last episode, we had Yangya and Ryan Colt Levy on the show, and it was just us three chatting. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Ryan, but I'm
not actually, to be honest.
He's a voice actor. He's getting very popular right now with a show called Chainsaw Man. That's the anime that he's kind of blowing up as part of, because he's the protagonist, and people are falling in love with it, and it's awesome. He's a good friend. We've known him for years. That was one of the big things on the show, is we're talking about that. And I was like, by the way, I haven't seen it yet. Like, I haven't seen any Chainsaw Man. When it finally comes to Hulu, which I think it came to Hulu like a week ago, so I can finally get around to watching it soon. But like, that was kind of the conversation, is like, as someone who hasn't experienced this, what's the pitch? What are the things you liked? Why should I watch it? Things like that. And it was genuinely entertaining content. So yeah, you're right. I think you just gave us $1 million idea.
I think so.
You're not going to get any royalties from it. It's all ours. Like, we own it.
Right, I'm not going to pay you for Solitaire Conspiracy's achievements either. So that's fine.
All I need is the credit. That's it. I just need my name and the credits. That's all I need.
That's all you ask for. I'm a humble man, Mike. That's all I ask for.
Yep.
Co-direction.
I want co-director on Solitaire Conspiracy.
I love it.
So before we run out of time, I'm sure, I don't know how much time you have. We've only been going for 27 minutes. I don't know why it feels longer, in a good way. Like, this is a fun conversation.
Bored. You're just bored.
I am bored out of my mind.
You wish you were here talking about something you've actually played.
I want to exactly.
What have you watched recently that you enjoyed? Let's do that.
Oh, that was actually kind of a topic I was going to bring up at some point.
Cool.
So season 3 of Ted Lasso has been phenomenal.
I'm one episode behind.
Okay, so you're fairly on track though. That and Shrinking. Have you seen Shrinking yet?
I've not seen Shrinking. My partner loves Shrinking. I've not watched it yet.
It's incredible. It is. Okay. It's the same kind of vibe, that kind of Bill Lawrence vibe, where it's got the drama, it's got the comedy, it's what you expect from that type of show. But just the writing and the acting from everybody, I mean, especially Harrison Ford, it's so lovely to see him in something that's comedic, because we don't really get that side of Harrison Ford very often anymore.
No, but he is funny. Like, I can see that. Yeah.
Like in interviews and stuff, he's great. And then you see the movie and he's just typical grumpy Harrison Ford. So it's really nice having that kind of comedic side, and it's fantastic. Probably one of the best shows I've seen in a long time.
Apple TV's getting pretty good. We love Schmigadoon. That's fun. I love that. Have you watched that yet? It's also on Apple TV. It's a musical.
I haven't watched it yet.
So it's a sitcom, but it's a musical. The first season is like old school musicals. The second season is like 70s kind of Sondheim, and it's very good.
I need to watch that. I also have to finish Mythic Quest. I'm a season behind on Mythic Quest.
I do as well. I find it too triggering. I really struggle with it.
No, I agree. I'm not even like in the industry in quotations, but I'm invested enough into the whole like game design side of thing.
It's a bit too well written. It's a bit too well observed. It simplifies stuff obviously because it has to, because you have to tell a story about a smaller set of characters than actually exist in a game studio. But the kind of the challenges and the stress and the interpersonal stuff, like I've been in most of the situations depicted in that show, so I find it genuinely quite tricky to watch sometimes.
It's definitely pretty intense. Even like season 1 when they're getting into like the QA stuff, and it's just like it's 2 people QA testing pretty much everything for 12 hours a day, and I'm just like, what is happening? This is not good. Shout out to Craig Mazin though. He plays a really good douchebag in that show. He's brilliant in that. So sad that he hasn't done anything else in his professional career except for act in Mythic Quest. Didn't write a hit show or anything like that.
No, never. No.
So aside from Schmigadoon, is there anything else kind of fun or exciting you've been watching that people should check out?
Watching lately, Picard was very good. Succession, I'm obsessed with.
I can't get into it.
Can't get into it.
I don't.
The first few episodes are a little tricky, actually. To be fair, like I went back, I'm rewatching it at the moment, and like those first few episodes, it's a little bit tricky to get into. It definitely improved as it went on.
I tried, but some of the people in Simply Sassy and some of our friends watch it and talk about it, and they were talking about it one night, just totally like no context. I didn't really understand what they were talking about. I know some of the characters, and they're just like, oh, when this character did this thing or whatever, and I was like, so are you telling me this whole show is a bunch of rich white people complaining about who's gonna get the business when 100%. Their father retires or dies? Like, that's too real right now. I don't want to watch that. I live in America. That's a little too.
I got into it because it's based on, or well, I don't know if they've ever admitted it's based on. It's obviously based on the Murdoch family, and I actually for a short time worked for a company owned by Elizabeth Murdoch, who's the character that Shiv in that show is based on. And I got into it mainly because I wanted to like see how that translation had gone down. But no, it's good. I find it's exactly what you described, but it's weirdly compelling. So yeah, I do enjoy it. But it's definitely you're not rooting for any of them. Like they're not good people. But yeah.
I'll have to check that out one of these days. That's on my watch list. Same with Severance. Everybody keeps talking about Severance, and it looks...
That is very good as well. That's excellent.
It looks really good, but also from what I hear is it's pretty dark at times. I'm like, I don't know if I really am in the mood for that right now.
It's dark, but I wouldn't say it is dark, but I would say it's dark in the way that like a thought-provoking sci-fi is. Like I wouldn't say it was like, it's not nightmarish. I don't think it's like, it's not horrific to watch, but it's good though. It's really good. Really well written.
I'll definitely have to check that out at some point. I mean, I've been saying that for like 6 months now. Like, I'll definitely watch Severance, and then I get on Apple TV Plus, and I'm just like, maybe I'll just rewatch Ted Lasso again, and then I just do that. So. Yeah,
Ted Lasso is great. That's a lot of fun.
It's fantastic. I'm so happy with that 3rd season so far. I think we have 3 episodes left, I think, and I thought I had everything predicted, and they just keep doing things in the past like 2 or 3 episodes where I'm like, well, no clue what's happening with this character now because they just took a direction that I wasn't really expecting. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. I'm bummed it's ending, but I'm also kind of glad.
Things have to end. Things have to end. That's okay.
Just like this show. Bye.
Yeah, just hang up on you.
This keeps popping in my mind, and I keep forgetting. We need to talk about Dead to Rights because I know Phil will kill me if I don't talk about Dead to Rights, and then after that we can talk about whatever. But Dead to Rights, a game that guess what, I haven't played.
I'm having such a good time. Yeah, so do you want me to explain to you what Dead to Rights is?
Yes, absolutely. Because the thing is, good explanation for why I haven't played it. I didn't want to. No, I'm kidding. I never had... I missed out on like the PS2 and Xbox generation.
I didn't work on the original
sequel, Retribution.
I worked on Yeah, which I think was game 3, I believe.
Okay.
I think there were 2. I think it was a Dead to Rights 2. But yeah, I came on Retribution, which was like an Xbox 360 and PS3 game.
That one I did want to play and then didn't.
Well, there you go. You should have. It was good. To be honest, I was Super Junior.
I think I played the demo on it and was like, this is really cool. And then just, I was.
Fair play.
God, I don't know. I was like 13 when it came out, so I didn't have the money to buy it.
It holds up quite well. I was Super Junior on it, so all I did on it was I did some like cutscene stuff, basically. So I didn't do much on it really. I was only on it for I think 6 months or so. So definitely not like part of the core design team on that, but it was kind of my first taste of like AAA kind of scale game development. So it was a really interesting process. I think it holds up. I think it's a really solid game. Like I played it a few years ago. I think I managed to like find a copy and I got it working on a modern Xbox or something, and it was genuinely like not bad. Like I was actually quite proud playing it. I was like, it's kind of it's a mix of gunplay and martial arts combat, and it flows pretty well between those two states, which in a way that again is like pretty impressive, like genuinely like for its time as well. So yeah, no, I was really pleased to work on that one.
Awesome. I wish Phil would have given me more specifics because I don't know exactly what he wanted to talk about. I just know he was like, I wanted to talk about Dead to Rights.
We'll get him at some point. It was a cool project. I don't think it was like amazing. I don't know actually. What's the Metacritic? I'm going to look this up. I don't think it was like it definitely wasn't like a big hit, I don't think, but it was really fun to work on. I learned a lot working on it. I'm gonna let's have a look. I've not thought about this game in a while, so I don't know. Okay, yeah, like 60 Metacritic, so not great, but
it's not bad though. In my experience, I've learned that anything above a 5 is usually good. Even if it's a 6, it's probably still good. I just think people are a little jaded when it comes to video games. I'm gonna say.
Fair.
I mean, I have almost 700 hours in Fallout 76. Look, I will say, like, post year 1, they genuinely made it like a very great game. Even that first year, it's like, oh, it's a 6 out of 10, it's a 5 out of 10, it's bad. No, it's fun. It was a fun game.
I mean,
buggy as all hell, but it was fun.
You find where you find fun ultimately, right? Like, I think every game is someone's favorite game.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
It's the thing I can say this from experience as well is no one ever wants to talk to me about the mediocrely good things I've made over the years. They always want to talk to me.
Elaborate.
I'm not gonna name those games. But like the things people want to talk to me about, ironically, are the things with the most extreme like Metacritic scores. So it's like the things that are objectively like the best reviewed, and then also the things that reviewed badly, or none of our games have reviewed badly, but like the worst reviews we've had.
Right.
Like those games are the ones that people really love and bring up. And Dead to Rights is a great example of that. Is like there were so many better games that came out that year, but your buddy remembers it because it was interesting, because it stood out. It was an intriguing thing. I think that's the thing from my perspective that I've definitely learned is that it's those stick in people's minds, and those are the things that people come up to me at events. I've had people come up to me and be like, "Oh, I loved X. Game X was just amazing," and it's like, okay, I think you were the only one who felt that way, but like, thank you. And that's cool. And I try and always make the game for that person, make something that's interesting and stands out and surprising, and you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. Good insight and positivity. I'm sure people are going to appreciate hearing that from you on this show. So we don't I do kind of want to take a little aside and just say I think I may have said this in the first time you were on the show, but that's one of the best things I like about you is the fact that you are, you have a studio, but you're also out there making content. You're interacting with fans. You're taking in feedback. You're, having good conversations with people and not just. I don't want to mention specific people because there's a lot of great people out there, but there are certain studios or developers where you only really hear from them when somebody criticizes something, and then they just kind of retaliate almost, where it's like, oh, you don't like my game? Well, fuck you, sort of thing. And it's like,
I mean, in my case, I think it's just growing up on the internet. It's just like I'm. Yes, you're absolutely right. Like I own a game studio and blah blah blah. But at the same time, like I've been talking shit with people in forums since I was 14. You know what I mean? Like I think there's I saw Kevin Smith talk about this recently as well. Like there is just that back and forth. We do all exist on the internet. I think I don't know if that's always healthy, but I do like to be part of that conversation. I do like to be approachable. I do like to be someone who is willing to talk about things and the work we do. And sometimes I have to, sometimes I can't talk about certain things, of course. Sure. But like, I think, generally, I think having an open dialogue is just always the best policy, really. And also people just keep inviting me to do things. I'm very bad at saying no. So that's fun too.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to get you back on a third episode of this at some point as well, so we can have a full...
The full trilogy, the retribution of our time together.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that'll
100%. Yeah.
And then we'll make number 4, which will be kind of the dip where people are like,
they're still doing this, okay, I'm not sure. Like,
but then we'll come back with 5, and it's like, this is
that's where it peaks again.
Yeah, it's 100%. Gonna be great.
Awesome.
Oh man, I had something else I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember it at the moment. Star Wars, Star Trek. That's something that I know you've brought up a couple times in the past and Play, Watch, Listen and stuff like that. Star Trek is something that, spoiler alert, I haven't seen much of. So,
oh my god!
So, I've seen
a spaceship.
I've seen a fair amount, but like I haven't seen everything.
Sure.
As someone who's such a big Star Trek: The Next Generation fan, obviously among other things, I know you enjoy other stuff.
More of a Deep Space Nine guy, if I'm honest.
But like, Next Generation, since obviously Picard is kind of piggybacking off of that. Man, I wish we had a map of this show of like all the directions we're going, because it would just be, we're gonna go to this topic, and now we're going to this topic and this topic. There's just no flow whatsoever. I feel like I'm directing I'm not gonna go to that studio. I feel like I'm directing a game because there's no direction. Oh, that's kind of a generalized game dev joke right there. Don't get mad at me, internet. How would you pitch someone the idea of Star Trek: The Next Generation if they were curious into getting into that universe?
I actually don't know if Next Generation is the best entry point, if I'm honest. Okay. I think I would pitch DS9, but because like Deep Space Nine feels the most like a modern TV show of that older generation of stuff. I also know Voyager's weirdly popular still. Like that's the one I remember at the time was kind of not most people's favorite, but has since become this much more successful show on Netflix and stuff like that. I think the pitch for Star Trek generally is just, it's an optimistic world. It's a world where we got through the current problems. And that's always been its biggest success is, if you go back like even to like the original Star Trek, like having a diverse bridge crew, including a Russian, in the 60s for an American TV show, like it's a big deal. And I think Star Trek's always been very good at pointing towards a more optimistic future, but also, reassuring you that we're going to get through this. That whatever the current problems of the day are, this too shall pass. Right? We're as a species, we are going to move forward and do greatness in the future, and posits the theory that as our technology and our wisdom increases, we will become more ethical people as well. And that there's a potential future where we have all of this magical, amazing technology, but also we are responsible with it and we can be trusted to be better. And I think there's very small amount of science fiction that actually leans into that as a perspective. Most science fiction, including most of the stuff I write, is not cynical, but maybe realistic about humanity and about history repeating itself and the flaws of humanity. Star Trek's very much what we could be. I think that's why I love it. I love that dream. And Next Generation is an example of like it being very much about a group of very competent people trying to solve big problems. So you know, kind of like a heist movie, just watching competent people try and achieve something, or Fast and Furious. Star Trek's very much like Fast and Furious. But yeah, that's what drawn me to it. I think there's different entry points to that. I think Next Generation honestly comes across maybe a bit cheesy nowadays. Maybe comes off a bit weird. And there's also just, you know, some stuff that's aged not so great in it. I would say Deep Space Nine is the one that feels, because that was kind of serialized a little bit. There was an ongoing story in a way that people just take for granted now in TV, but kind of Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5 were kind of the place where that was introduced to kind of network sci-fi. But yeah, I think it's cool. And I think the other thing is, it's just go and do a search on the internet for like the best ever episodes. Because you don't have to watch everything, because these were shows from an era which a lot of people nowadays don't remember, where there was lots of TV. You know, I think each series of Next Gen is like 24 episodes, something like that. And they're not all gold, you know, because they were working. We were not in the golden age of television that we are in now. So I think don't listen to anyone who says you have to watch everything. Just go and watch like the good stuff. Go find a list somewhere of like, these are the key episodes to watch, and you'll have a good time.
Okay, it's a good pitch. That was one thing I noticed with like you're right, kind of most shows back then, but one thing is that a lot of repeated scenes throughout certain shows, like X-Files, for instance. That's one thing that I've tried watching a little bit here and there, but turns out when you see certain scenes from that show when you're a kid, it's a bit traumatizing, and you don't want to watch the show ever again. But I've tried to go back and watch, and it's tough, because every time they drive somewhere, it's the same shot of the car going down the road, similar to like Battlestar Galactica. The reboot sequel, whatever you want to call it, where it's like a lot of the space scenes, even the classic one, a lot of the space scenes, it's the same. Oh, there comes the ship and it's shooting things, and it's just the same, which again, it's totally fine because it's television. But when you're binge watching them back to back, it can get a little bit more apparent, where you're like, oh, God,
you were never meant to watch these shows in that way. And that's the fascinating thing watching them now, because I do think weirdly, I think Star Trek actually does work better as binge TV than a lot of stuff from its era, because they were just so wildly all over the place. But even so, you were meant to, you know, watch them out of order, watch them, you know, miss an episode because you're out that evening. You know, like they're definitely, no one was meant to watch television the way we watch television right now, and I think that is something to bear in mind when you're watching all the stuff. But some of it works really well.
Yeah. I think that could be a really cool game idea, but I can't pitch it to you, because if you ever make it, I can sue you. So
that's it. I don't want to. You were a nightmare to work with on Solitaire Conspiracy. I never want to co-direct with you ever again.
Okay, fine.
Possibly the worst professional experience of my career.
Man, you're lucky I only own 20% of the company, or else you would be out of here, Mike.
Fair play.
So I'm sure I asked you this question when you first came on the show, because I think I'm supposed to have asked it to every single person on the show. I think I missed one or two. But Dragon's Dogma, you've played it, right?
I've not. The show's reversed. The format has shifted.
It's just reversed now. I've never
played Dragon's Dogma, no.
Okay. So that's gonna be the next episode. We're gonna have you back on, and you're gonna be playing Dragon's Dogma the whole show. It's gonna be great. Well, that's bummer.
I've diffused your entire thing.
You have. I have nothing left now. That's
okay.
The whole future of the show. No, it's obviously pretty exciting that we're getting a sequel, which is something I never thought would actually happen. It took them 10 years to announce it, but they finally Dragon's Dogma 2's real, and I was like, what the just freaking out. It was amazing. Is there a game you've played or a movie you've seen or anything like that that's been a one-off that you've just been hoping or dying for a sequel that just has never happened yet?
I have one answer I always give to this, which is PsyOps: The Mindgate Conspiracy. which was an action game. Have you thought about that? Yeah.
Oh,
you know
yes,
that?
I have played that.
There you go. Game. Like that. It was that and Second Sight, which was the one from the Time Splitter devs. Free Radical. Those two games kind of came out in the same window and were this kind of what if you had psychic powers as a game genre, and then there was nothing else. And I've always thought Psyops, that would be if someone would give me that license, give me that IP. That Bithell Games own the Psyops IP. We would love to make a Psyops game, because there's some real opportunities there in terms of what that did. I'd love to do a sequel to that.
That brings up a good question. Who published that?
Oh, I've looked into this. Yeah, it's been through a few publishers now.
Yikes.
Yeah, because there's been a few acquisitions and closures and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it's currently with is it with what's his name?
Wow, yeah, that's
Embracer. I think Embracer have it now.
Well, Embracer has almost everything now, so that makes sense.
That's true. That's fair.
Wow, yeah, Midway, Capcom, Zoo Digital, which they're European publisher, so I don't have any attachment to them. But yeah, it's a lot of publishers. Wow. Yeah, that's one of the sucky things about like the Mercenaries franchise. Mercenaries and the Saboteur are two franchises.
Saboteur was good.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're just dead. Like, I think EA still technically owns them, but then even if you look at the Mercenaries franchise, like the first game is on Xbox backward compatibility because it was a LucasArts published game, even though EA owns like the rights moving forward. So there's just all these weird. It's why do rights have to be so complicated? Why can't it just be, hey, you have the rights, you don't want them, sell them? It's like, oh well, this person owns 25% of them, that person owns 40%.
Yeah,
and it's so frustrating.
It's just things get convoluted over time. Unfortunately, that is just the nature of ownership. Is things get split and shifted and sold, and it's
Please bring back Mercenaries, EA. I'm begging you, please. I miss that franchise. It's such a good franchise. Another good example of games that I feel like got 6s and 7s, but like they're solid games. That franchise and the Saboteur are games that do things that I don't think many other games have done since.
No, the Saboteur I hadn't thought about until you mentioned it, but the Saboteur I would love to play more of that. That was great fun.
It's so much fun. I got the Platinum Trophy for that a couple years ago, and it was rough because there are a lot of kind of collectathon things.
Sure.
A lot of, numbers you have to rack up that I'm sure you're very familiar with in your trophies, Mike. Do this 100 times. No, it wasn't exactly like that. But a lot of stuff was like, oh, you have to go collect all these items. Like, okay, well, I'll go do that. Take some time, and it's fun though.
That's cool.
For the record, your trophies are still fun. Like I'm giving you a lot of shit for them, but they are.
Joking. It's all good.
Yeah, the games are genuinely good. And the trophies are fine. It's just it's fun talking smack about it. That's what I do.
No, it's cool.
Our channel is called Simply Sassy. You gotta be a little sassy on the show. Just saying.
I appreciate that, but also you keep the sass simple, which I appreciate. Like I get it. Like it's not obtuse or difficult to understand. That's good.
We try to make it fun for everyone.
I appreciate that. I'm just getting very sleepy. I'm just sat here getting kind of cozy and falling asleep a little bit, to be honest.
It's a little later over there than it is here. So.
It is, yeah. It's 7:00. It's a long week, I think. Long week, but yeah.
Ooh, play, watch, listen reference. Is today a coffee day or a soda day?
I've been having more soda days than coffee days, unfortunately, recently. Yeah, busy ones. But I hope to get back on the coffee instead soon. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be nice. Man, I think that kind of wraps all the questions and topics that I had prepared. Awesome. Is there anything you had on your mind you wanted to?
Only that people should buy Tron Identity on Switch and PC. That's the only thing I'm thinking about.
Everybody should go buy it on Switch.
Everyone
and PC,
listening to this,
unless you're me.
Tron Identity. Yeah. Well, not everyone's cool, but people listening to this are cool.
Yeah.
And cool people.
Me? Nah.
By Tron Identity, not you. Cool. They're cool. They're cool because they listen to someone who's not cool, which is really cool.
Exactly.
Like, that's just a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
But they're going to go and buy Tron Identity on Switch and PC.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's been lovely talking to you again. Really has.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a fun episode, very interesting episode. Doing it solo was always kind of a challenge, but I'm glad I got to.
It's scary. You did great.
Kind of work the rust off of that skill a little bit. Yeah, Tron Identity out now on Steam and Switch. Go pick that up. Also, previous games: Solitaire Conspiracy, Volume, Thomas is Alone, John Wick Hex, Subsurface Circular. Get everything. Just get everything. Play them. They're fantastic. Most of those are also on PlayStation. So if you're like me, you can actually buy them and play them. One day I'll play Tron.
One day.
And I'm genuinely looking forward to it. And I'll have to let you know when I get around to it. And
please do.
Maybe criticize the Steam achievements this time if they're not up to par. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Mike. This has been an absolute pleasure. If you guys liked it, leave a like, hit a subscribe button, comment, all that stuff. Who would you like to see on the show next? We're always open to ideas. Until next time, go play Dragon's Dogma and Tron Identity.